Are we living in the end times? Every generation since the time of Christ believed they were living in the last days. The Bible emphasizes the significant role Jewish people play in God's redemption plan, especially concerning end times prophecies. Many prophets predicted Israel's regathering. Passages like Jeremiah 31:10 and Ezekiel 37 describe the return of Jews to their homeland. Jews were scattered after Rome's conquest in 70 AD and were dispersed globally. This dispersion seemed to be cemented after the Holocaust. Yet, against all odds, Israel was reestablished in 1948. In 1948, Israel became a nation again, following a series of historical, political, and social events. Balfour Declaration in 1917, the British government expressed support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people. The location? Palestine. The British Mandate. After World War I, the League of Nations granted Britain the mandate to govern Palestine. This period saw increased Jewish immigration to the area, leading to tensions with the Arab population. The UN Partition Plan of 1947. Due to ongoing conflicts between Jewish and Arab communities, the United Nations proposed partitioning Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international administration. Finally, the Declaration of the State of Israel in 1948. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. Arab-Israeli War 1948 to 1949. Immediately after the declaration, neighboring Arab states invaded Israel. By the end of the war, Israel maintained its sovereignty and even expanded its territory beyond the UN Partition Plan. The recognition of Israel by major world powers, including the United States and the Soviet Union, further solidified its status as a nation-state. Prophecy of Israel's struggles. The Bible predicts attacks on Israel after its establishment. Psalm 83 foretells of neighboring nations conspiring to erase Israel's identity. This resonates with current political tensions, including groups like Hamas and statements about nations like Iran. Russia and Iran's involvement. The identification of Magog with Russia is a popular view among some Bible scholars. The belief comes from passages in the Old Testament, specifically from the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39, which discuss a future invasion of Israel by a coalition led by Gog of the land of Magog. Ezekiel 37 and 38 speaks of a northern force, possibly Russia, called Magog, being led by Persia, modern-day Iran, to attack Israel. Ezekiel 38:4 says, "I will turn you around, put hooks in your jaws, and bring you out with your whole army, your horses, your horsemen, fully armed, and a great horde with large and small shields, all of them brandishing their swords." Current geopolitical ties between Iran and Russia further bolster this interpretation for some believers. While the identification of Magog with Russia is not universally accepted among scholars, those who hold to this view often put forth several arguments. There's a directional argument. Ezekiel describes Magog and its allies as coming from the far north. Ezekiel 38:15 and 39:2. Russia being directly north of Israel fits this geographical description. There's a linguistic connection. Some argue that the names of ancient tribes and regions associated with Magog, such as Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal in Ezekiel 38:2-3, have etymological connection to modern-day Russian locations or terms. For instance, Rosh is linked to the modern term Russia or Rus, an early medieval group which gave its name to the regions of Russia, Belarus, and the Ukraine. Meshech is linked to the city of Moscow. Tubal is connected with the Tobol River or the city of Tobolsk in Siberia. Historical sources. Some ancient historians like Josephus identified the descendants of Magog with the Scythians, a group of ancient horse-riding nomads from the Eurasian steppes. The Scythians did inhabit regions that are now part of modern-day Russia, so some see this as a historical link between Magog and Russia. Then there's modern geopolitics. The prophecy in Ezekiel speaks of Magog and its allies as posing a significant military threat to Israel in the end times. Given Russia's current military prowess and its involvement in Middle Eastern affairs, some see a geopolitical alignment with the prophecy. Zechariah portrays Jerusalem as a pivotal point in end-time events. with all nations eventually opposing Israel. We see this even on U.S. soil with protests and pro-Palestine groups assembling. The U.S. currently supports Israel, but the future is uncertain. We don't know how long that will last. I want to offer a call for humility. Given the unexpected circumstances of Jesus' first arrival, we should be cautious and humble when interpreting end-time signs. Remember, no man knows the hour. No one can predict the exact events, but we see wars and rumors of wars and a great many other coincidences that have never happened before. What are your thoughts? Are we living in the end times? Are the current events surrounding Israel prophecy being fulfilled in our age? It sure sets the stage, doesn't it? A quick word of encouragement. Pray for peace for all involved, including both sides of the conflict. Recognize the human suffering and cost of war. Trust in Jesus as prophecies remind Christians of God's trustworthiness and the assurance of salvation. If you're not a believer, I want to encourage you to reach out while the Lord can be sought. It's interesting in these last days how people are starting to come to the Lord because of how wicked and evil the world has turned so quickly. They know something is up. These events are too orchestrated to be planned and executed by a group of people. Satan is real and is roaming the earth looking for those he may devour. Though we feel his prowl, we know the true king, whose real identity is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He's coming back, and very soon it would seem. Regardless of how you feel about end times, we prepare for the imminent return of Christ and our demise in the same way, by trusting in Christ for our salvation, where he will set up his eternal kingdom and finally call us home. God bless you and keep you, and we'll see you in the next one.